We're going to call the meeting of the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee to order. Right now, we'll entertain public comment. The advisory committee takes public comment on all items in the regular agenda. Public input on a regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on an item not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the advisory committee at this time. The advisory committee may request an item be placed on the future agenda or for a consent item to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time? Okay. We just opened up for public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time? Okay. Moving on. Item 2, our consent agenda. We need to review the April 21st meeting minutes and approve them. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Okay, do we have a motion to approve them?
I motion to approve them.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Same as last month.
moving on. All right, our regular agenda for public hearing and comment, nomination and election of a vice chair. Do we have a nomination for the position of vice chair?
I would like to nominate Mo.
Peasy.
Easy.
Sorry about that.
So we have a nomination of Mo Sapezi for vice chair. Do we have a second for that nomination?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations, you're our new vice chair.
Thank you. I had it on the wrong.
All right. Item B, discussion and possible action related to the monthly shelter numbers for April 2016.
Good afternoon. Bob Salas for the record. Here are the numbers for the April month. We had 462 that were new. We had 147 that were adopted, 35 on a return, 4 died, 250 were euthanized. That gives us a 42% euthanasia rate, and we left with 152 left in the shelter. However, be aware that we had 100% survival rate for all adoptable animals. And here's the breakdown of the euthanasia, as you requested earlier in an earlier meeting. We put down 17 for aggressive behavior, 6 were by quarantines, 58 were failure to thrive, and note that a lot of those were kittens, came in, they're very small, unable to thrive. Then we had 76 feral, 20 injured, 67 sick, 4 owner requested, and 2 wildlife, and none for time and space. Those are the numbers for, I believe so. Those are the numbers for April, and take any questions if you have any.
I have a question. The 462 new intakes that you brought in, were all of those cats and dogs? Or is wildlife included in that number too?
That's everything.
That's everything.
That's everything. That's wildlife, ferals, cats, dogs, birds, etc.
Any questions or comments? I think it's great to see that we had another month with no euthanasia for time and space. It is alarming to see how many come into the shelter every month, and I'd like to see that go down.
I think James will tell you that if you're there, you can see that that constant drop off. It doesn't stop. It's constant. So we have to get to the community, and I think we're starting to make strides, slowly but surely. Hopefully that number will start dropping. Thank you.
Do we have any public comment as related to the presentation on the monthly shelter numbers for April 2016? Okay. Moving on then, we've got item 3C, discussion and possible action related to the ASAC bylaws. And the bylaws are attached in your packet.
Yes, this draft prepared by Jenny. We did have to make a couple of corrections, and the one you have with you, I believe, does have the updates. Basically, we had a wrong reference in the Article 3. We just changed that to the correct reference. That was the only big change. Otherwise, it's as is based on the working session we had last week.
What reference?
It was, if you look at our Article 3 members, third paragraph, it was referring to an old Chapter 3, Article 2.38, which is the old 1996 approved bylaws, or ordinance, rather, and that's no longer valid. So the valid ordinance is the Article 207, Division 18. That's what we have to refer to. That tells you what, that makes up the ASAC is what it does. And once you approve it, we will go to council for their approval, and they'll become our bylaws. And I do want to congratulate the board for a great meeting and coming up with these bylaws. Very well thought of and thought out. I like the vision statement, and I think it hits right on. That's what we want to do.
Okay, do we have any comments or suggestions? We're ready to make a motion to approve our bylaws.
I make a motion to approve them.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Our bylaws are approved, and those will move on to legal now, and,
It will go to council at
Or
the
council.
next, as soon as at the next opportunity.
okay. All right, item number E, discussion and possible action related to the issues related to the use of pet tango.
That's mine. We don't have much of a presentation. I was here for questions, possibly, I guess, as it was posed.
Okay. Well, I actually requested that to be put on the agenda just because I know that we receive a lot of questions on Pet Tango, and I know that our staff uses it. I just kind of wanted a rundown as to how it's used, how often it's updated, and how the system works, just so that I have a better understanding of Pet Tango, and as it relates to the lost and found, and as it relates to the adoption process currently. I just thought that would be good for all of us to have.
Sure. And again, there's nothing I could have brought from a former presentation, I guess. It's just basically, we have a program system called Patango that we utilize there at the shelter. It is a free system. So with free comes a lot of problems or potential problems versus one that's paid for. Nonetheless, it's tied to how we purchase our microchips, and being that we stay at a certain amount of chips that we buy, we get this program or software free. There is upgradable software from the same company, and it gets into some big money. So we utilize the free service best that we can, and the basic service is there. But I think some of the questions or concerns that were posed recently to us were valid. There was some issues with Patango as being a recipient of a free service. When they go through upgrades, the free guys are not really saved. A lot of information is lost or could be lost. I mean, they try, I think, for all intent and purposes, but it could not be as live as it is on our end. So about the last 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, I guess, they've been going through major upgrades, which has caused pictures to be removed, pictures to be associated to different A numbers, and there's been some people that keep up with Patango very viciously and have brought that to our attention. So we reassure internally whether the error is correct, and if it is, we give them the correct information. But I think the bigger misconception on the lost and found is the time of. Uploading on a lost and found animal is done within a 24-hour process. I mean, that is standard operating procedure that's adhered to. But in that uploading, there is, and being you're using the free format, not something more user-friendly, there is a capability for human error. And in some of these, we do have human error that occurs. And I'll give you a perfect example. A lost dog comes in from the streets. It's pictured. It's processed. The paperwork trail is right. You sit down, you enter the information, and one stroke of a key, whether it's evaluate status or a available status, could decipher whether or not that animal's uploaded to the website or not. It stays in a queue if it's not uploaded, but it doesn't do any good for somebody who's lost their animal. So none of our dogs are going to enter into an evaluate status. They're going to all go to an available status. The evaluate status is something internally for us because we are evaluating it, we're vetting it, we're inoculating it, we're doing whatever we can do to get the animal processed. But that is an offering on that system. We found out that now if you evaluate a dog, it will not upload the picture. Hence, more than 24 hours of wait time for somebody looking for their dog on Patango. So we corrected that after the last update, and I think that was probably the bigger issue. And then recently we had some issues with, again, human error related to the update where pictures were lost and staff entered an A number that did not belong to a kennel number. It was the right dog, but it wasn't in the right kennel number. Simple stuff from the staff's perspective that deals with inventory, but not something we want to encounter again with on the lost and found side. So now that we figured that out, the upgrade, I guess, actually took that capability away for that error. We're pretty confident that within 24 hours that dog has to be on that site. And thus far, prior to the upgrade, it's been as smooth as it gets, considering, again, you're dealing with a free software. So until we explore some monetary capabilities that can expand our potential to buy a software program that maybe is more user-friendly, maybe more informative, maybe more faster, definitely doesn't get striked when there's an upgrade going on. That's going to help. But right now with free, you get what you pay for, and when there's an upgrade going on, we have to do a lot of internal juggling to ensure that information gets reposted accurately. So major upgrade that they did caused a lot of grief for us and some lost and found pet owners. Ultimately, there wasn't a transaction that ended up with a negative outcome. Every outcome that we dealt with from a question standpoint or from an error standpoint was positively dealt with, and but it did cause some concern.
On that, the animal comes in within 24 hours that it comes in, it's put on Patango. When does the stray hold start? Does it start at the time it comes in or at the time that you've logged it into Patango?
No, at the time that it comes in.
Okay.
So, and legally, if it's a bona fide stray, there is a 72-hour hold. So before, when you were in an evaluate status, it allowed you to, it kind of knew that was the case. Today, if you put an animal in evaluate status, it will not upload its picture. So, they're streamlining their effects, which causes negative effects to us when we're not purchasing their current up-to-date stuff. They're still offering us the free service because we expend a certain amount of dollars with them for microchips. But now, today, that all should be together because we figured out bypass, evaluate internally, and that'll get the picture uploaded. But you'll also notice on Patango, a lot of people call about a dog, and they don't read that it's available on 5/26 of 16. And today's the 18th or 19th, whatever we are. So we'll have to tell them, well, that dog's not available. They go, well, why is it up there? Well, because we're trying to get somebody to hopefully find their animal.
Is it not available for adoption?
Right.
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 But they're also using that to look for their lost pets.
Absolutely. I mean,
So-
that beats driving out there and looking for it.
And just so that I'm clear, if the 72-hour stray hold and the time starts when they're brought in, but they're not on Patango yet for people to see as a possible lost pet, when at that point are they made available to adoption for the public?
Well, I mean, we go by the 72-hour law.
72 hours. So
So-
in essence, the dog or cat can be on the website for 2 days before it's made available to the public. Is that
In
right?
essence,
Okay.
yes. But it's very rare that an animal is kept 24 hours before being evaluated, inoculated, and pictured.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Oh, I
that's
can only
pretty
imagine how difficult it is to keep up with
Well,
number
I mean,
that are
it's,
coming in?
you know, it was a very difficult issue, and we've kind of just streamlined that process. People that weren't typically doing that, but were giving inoculations, have now learned how to enter an animal or take a picture of it and upload it. There was a lot of division of service amongst inside our department or division, that now people are expanding their horizons and they're getting trained a little differently and better, and they add to. So it would be rare, you know, and even on a weekend situation, we do go by business days. So some are there 5-6 days before the public could even actually have them,
Okay.
due to 8 a.m. Friday morning and not counting Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. Would it be possible or even beneficial to start the 72 hours at the time they're inputted into Pet Tango?
Yeah, that's something, you know, that I mean, we adhere to it, but, you know, I buy the fact that if it's been in our possession for 10 hours, I shouldn't you know, charge that towards the potential owner of the animal. And I think we utilize that. I mean, Carlos is pretty good, you know, with the microchip law in place. Actually, with all the ordinances that have recently been enacted, I think we're going to see a whole different type of effect out at the shelter. You know, if you're in a perfect world, if your animal's chipped, which is according to law, we'd deliver it to your house. So, you know, I buy that, though. I mean, I buy if it takes me 10, 15 hours, I don't think I should charge that in the 72-hour frame, and I think we're cognizant of that as a staff.
Okay. And Pet Tango is what keeps up with the shelter monthly reports, like the number euthanized, the number adopted, the number redeemed?
Correct.
All of that's in that one program?
Correct.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions on how that works? Okay. Do we have any public comment?
I'm Christina DeLeo, and I'm actually here on behalf of Jennifer McCon, who couldn't be here because of surgery today. She had a lot of other comments, but I'm just going to bring this up. I think a lot of her concerns were addressed by what you said. One of the things you haven't mentioned is the quality of the pictures, and when I've gone on Pet Tango, a lot of the times you can't even tell what the animal really looks like, especially if it's a dark animal. And that was a great concern of hers, because even for lost pets or ones that are up for adoption, it's really not clear what an animal looks like. So what is the procedure for taking pictures, and is there a way to improve the quality? Is it a matter of taking a little more time, or what kind of equipment? Is that a limitation?
Well, I mean, all the above, you know, and that's just something that we deal with. I know some fixes to it, but those fixes, you know, could correlate to other sufferings that go on in the shelter. But I think a lot of it, again, is the basic use of the technology. It is basic. It is free. That's a $1.2 million run facility running a free software. B, you have to have time. Where time's against us when we bring an animal in there. We got to give it its due diligence and get it up as fast as we can for the 72-hour mark, and honor, you know, a 10-hour delay or 15-hour delay or whatever delay we need to honor. So, you know, there's been a couple of pictures that we're aware of. Sometimes an animal just doesn't want to partake in a picture. There's humans that do that. So we battle that, but we've also, you know, people have offered to take a picture and us upload it. The problem with it is the way the system is ran and running your JPEGs, the way that have to be uploaded into this particular program. It would be a time-consuming event. However, we do have volunteer opportunities, and if people want to, you know, try out photography better than we are, we would welcome people to come by there and help us out in that capacity. Those are needs that we always have people helping us with. So, again, I think the goal is just to get it up on the screen as fast as we can, and you know, there has been some pictures that are bad. That's just going to happen. So. That helped.
That can be fixed with
Yeah,
equipment.
absolutely. I mean, equipment, you know, better training. Again, it's so difficult. You'd have to be there to see what I'm talking about when you deal with a free program. I mean, nothing's really free in today's world, and we do deal with a free program. So it's convoluted. Yeah, but we'll look into it and see what we can better on it.
My concern, I guess, is basically we have all these glitches or problems with a free program, but if this is the only way people can see what's available or find their pet, then we've got to figure out something else besides just keep working on it.
All right, you can still come to the
This is
shelter.
life and death. I mean, can you walk through the shelter? I've been told we can't do that.
No, but if you come up to the front, you could ask, I mean, you can give us a description. If you have a picture on your phone, our staff, that's what they deal with, is intake. So they know every single animal that's there. If we don't have it, it's not going to be there. If we do, a guy could take you straight to it. So, I mean, you have that option to come to the shelter as well, and not just.
And people do that, right?
They do it all every day. They don't even go to Patango, because even signing on it from the home standpoint, if you don't enter your zip code, you're not going to be on San Angelo's Patango. You're going to be on somebody else's. So, and again, if it's chipped, that's the easiest way. So I encourage everybody that has a pet to be in compliance with the law and chip it.
Any other public comment?
I'm Pat Hines, and I'm part of Concho Valley Paws. James, I really don't have a comment, but I do have a question. And that is, what is the cost of Pet Tango, not the free program, but the cost of actually having that? And would that cost actually not be as costly in the long run in order to enhance the process of bringing in the animals, getting them up, getting them out? I mean, we're talking time, staff. Is it more, would it be more valuable to go ahead and bite the bullet and upgrade?
Well, you got to have the funds to bite the bullet, first of all.
But
Yes, I mean, in my professional opinion, there are shelters that run more sophisticated programs that are more streamlined. Programming, I think one of the biggest keys of a programmer is to make something more efficient. And
that can be cost effective.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's legitimacy in the argument of, if it's $50,000, I could show you how we could save that in blah, 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 blah. But we have such an array of those scenarios that we have to go by. I mean, right now, ACOs, I mean, according to the standard matrix system for shelters, a town of 100,000 needs 8 ACOs. I don't have 8 ACOs. So there's all kinds of needs, and we could sit here and dissect every line. But yes, to answer your question, if there was an unlimited amount of money, I would not be on a free Patango website. I would be using a more sophisticated.
What is that cost, and isn't it something to consider?
Absolutely, and we are. Bob and I both have talked about that. We've looked at it from a capital improvement standpoint. We're working on and have trimmed the budget in so many capacities to get to where we're at today. Now we want to work on the stuff that is second, third, and fourth priority. And, for whatever it was worth, Pet Tango was a second, third, fourth priority. It isn't today because of the needs of the laws requiring spay, neuter, and microchip, and or the fact that people can't come to the shelter and look for their dogs. So it's moved to a top priority, and we will find something, even if it is Patango, at a cost. But basic cost, you're looking anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000, one-time type of deal. Then there's some licensing requirements that you do.
Well, I think part of that, the reason I'm asking that question is I'll speak for myself, have any idea what the cost of that program would be. But if it's something we could be working toward, maybe in a future budget, maybe it may not be this year, it may be next year's
Sure.
budget or whatever.
Absolutely.
It sounds like that there would be, it depends upon what kind of cost savings that would benefit the city with in lieu of time and
No, absolutely.
and aggravation.
Well, and it is. I mean, it is a free program, and we try to do the best we can with it. So, the pixels aren't quite there. So that's why I'm not on Patango, because I would be an ugly dog picture. So.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I'm Kim Spooner, and I help with the Help Me Get Home, and I have 2 websites on Facebook for the Lost and Found. And I know Pet Tango is an invaluable resource, but it is the only lifeline for these pet owners to locate their pet. And I mean, as you said, if it's not updated immediately, there's no way for those pet owners to know that their pet is there. So, you know, you mentioned it takes 24 hours to sometimes upload a dog. Then technically, the person can't see that dog for 24
What I said was
hours.
it could, it's uploaded within 24 hours. I don't think there's an animal that we've waited that long for, because it is,
Well, I've
something
seen
that's-
some that, like, I saw a Yorkie on there the other day that I'd never seen it before, and I look at there pretty much every day, and it was the date was 4/14, and it was May 14th or 15th was the first time I saw it.
right, and that was an evaluate, that was,
Right,
that
and
was a
I-
different
right.
problem.
But if it was a pet owner looking for that dog, they would have never known their dog was there. So
Okay.
I guess my concern is that every day that needs to be 100% every day, all the time. Because I mean, there's a lot of people still looking for their dogs.
Sure, and that's why we want them to come out to the shelter as well. I mean, we'll work on it, but that's
Right,
always an
okay.
option.
Okay, right, thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, before we move on, I just want to say that I just wanted that on the agenda. I wanted us to have a broad idea of how it worked and how it was being used. I strongly support the fact that you closed off that back end. I think the population's healthier, the dogs are calmer. So I see all the positives to that, but having that be the main resource for people looking for lost pets, we do hear some things. So I wanted to know that I was in a position to hand out accurate information. But like you said, with that microchipping ordinance, if they're chipped, it's not a problem. So I think it falls on all of us to really assist in educating the public on getting these animals microchipped. All right, so does anyone on the committee have anything else to add on that before we move on? Okay. Moving on then to item E, discussion and possible action on the location for community feral cat colonies and points of contact.
Okay, back in December, I gave this presentation. I'm just going to rehash this information that I got from the sponsoring organization. This program has been making some successful strides towards the goal, and that is to alter all the feral cats so we can reduce the feral cat population. Currently, there are 36 registered colonies. You can see the total cats of over 500, but out of that, most of those have been altered. So they're, again, very successful capturing them, neutering them, and releasing them back into the colonies. And since March 15th, that's almost a year, almost over a year. That number, 67 cats vetted and rehome, is probably higher at this point. I didn't get an updated number for that. But we do have some success stories. One of them is the one at ASU. They had over 100 on campus at one time, and now they're down to 56. And now it prevented over 64 litters, which equals about 4,000 kittens that were prevented through this program. Like I said, there are 36 colonies. I don't want to go through each one of those. I'll just highlight some of the main ones. So you can see the ASU. There's 56 there. We have 44 at the Glenmore Park, 65 at Harvard and Webster and Glenna. And then we have 2 over in Mejor Canada, Old Mejor Canada. And now that, you can see on the right side, you can see how many of those have been altered. You can see it's a pretty good number. Good percentage of these have been altered. Then on the north side, we have 100 cats in 3 colonies on the north side. Most of those have been altered, and probably all of them by now. Then you have see a couple of big ones. Sherwood Way's got 4 colonies. South Park, Tewig. And then we have 2 over at Stone Canyon Southwest. And those are the numbers. And when we tell people, right now the only sponsoring organization that's active is Critter Shack. That's their website. And if you go to that website, they've got some very good information for people that want to register. It's got good information on what's expected of the caregivers. What's expected of the city and all that. So I recommend you go to their site to review their website on this program. You can call that number that's listed there. That's their address there. And they will be happy to provide one-on-one information to any of the ASAC members that are interested in going out there to get more information on location, those kind of things. They prefer not to publicize the map of these cats colonies because it's for the sake of the animal. Because a lot of times there are people who don't like animals, who don't like cats, and they will respond negatively. Just really trying to keep them safe from these kind of folks who really don't want who don't want feral cats around. So that's why they don't want to publicize them. They don't want to show a map so people can go to this, and then do harm. But they're willing to provide information to the ASAC members if you want to go and call and make an appointment, and that's all I've got.
I have a question. Sure. When did they move to Wall? They've been from Menard.
I don't know. You'd have to contact. You have to talk to them. I really don't. I can't speak for Critter Shack at this point. So.
That was one of the issues.
Well, I know for a while it's been at least over a year, so I don't know exact days, but we can certainly find out.
Okay.
That's all I have. So it's kind of a quick update. And like I said, it takes time for these kind of programs to be a success, but I think the success is moving forward. We are seeing some strides there, and hopefully we'll get better at it. So.
Do we have any public comment? And state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Kristen Stanley, and I really appreciate what you said, and I would be happy to meet with you and sit down and talk to you about all the progress we've made, and we've made a lot more progress in the last 6 months. In the month of March, we helped a 90-year-old lady that was actually that couldn't afford to pay full price for getting them fixed, and we fixed 16 of her cats and adopted out 2 of them, socialized them. And right now we're in the process of helping a woman who is in failing health, and she has 12 cats, and her sister wanted to take them to the shelter, and they are outdoor cats, and I have worked and have found homes for 9 of the 12 so far, and we've gotten them all fixed, and they're homes outside of San Angelo, and so they're making great barn cats, farm cats, and so we're trying to do that too, where people are kind of overwhelmed, and Critter Shack is picking up the cost to have them vetted. And that's what we've done. I also wanted to just send you a quick report of the ear-notched cats that have made it into the shelter since last August. And the shelter's been very good about contacting me. They'll give me a picture, the location, and information of the cat. And I'm an admin on the volunteer shelter page, so I will post it, and I'll post it on other pages, especially if it comes from a location where we don't have a known colony, because a lot of people are they're fixing free roaming cats that come to their yard. There might be 1 or 2 cats and they get them fixed. So they're not necessarily an organized colony, but they're doing the right thing to start to reduce the overpopulation of cats. And so in the last almost 10 months, we've received 5 ear-notched cats that came into the shelter. By posting it. 1 was actually a pet, because often some of these cats that show up in colonies, they can be re-socialized. They might have been someone's pet, and so someone adopted it. 2 made their way back to colonies, and then 2 others were tame, and we socialized them and adopted them through a rescue. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update. But every day, today I took, last night, Dr. Raymond Mays and I trapped 2 cats for this woman, and we're getting them fixed, and they will head out to a ranch past Abilene. The other thing about, not colony caretakers not wanting to know where their colonies are is because dumping is a big problem. I'm very open about where my colonies are, and we have an average of about 18 cats that are dumped at ASU, and we have to get them off campus immediately before they get injured, and so that's real important to this TNRM working, is the maintenance part. Anytime you see a new cat, it needs to be fixed. And we'd be happy to work with the public. We get calls all the time, and offering them low-cost spay-neuter, and also tips. And yes, on our website we have a lot of tips for caretakers, how to properly manage the colonies. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Bill Lockett, concerned citizen. What I would suggest is occasionally, maybe every 3 months or something, that the staff, shelter staff, give, if they notice the incoming of cats, reduction, that they can be likely associated with this program, that they tell you about it and let you know about it.
Any other public comment? Okay. Sarah, since you requested this on the agenda, do you have any other questions?
No, I want to find out where they are, but if we can do that, I'll do what they're asking us to do.
Okay. I have one quick question. Is the only identifier for the feral colonies at this time the notched deer?
No, there's also a tattoo that could identify them.
Okay.
Some do, yeah. But not all of them do have it, but some do.
Okay.
So we look for two
Okay.
different scenarios.
But that's the main one.
Yeah, notched deer and a tattoo on the belly.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay. We'll move forward. Looks like that's everything on our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion? Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. We are adjourned.